Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for another Premier League preview for Chelsea to be miserable. Because that's unfortunately what we've been taught this season. It's just never going well. Pochettino is now worried about Nkunku, so that's not great, is it? A little bit of positive news. Ben Chilwell and Benoit Badiashile return to the squad. They almost certainly will not start tomorrow, but at least they'll be in the squad. Carney Chukwuemeka is also very close to returning. And Trevor Chalobah, as much as I don't think he will make it at Chelsea past this month, has also returned to team training. So a few can't even speak anymore. Bits and bobs of good news. As you can see, we are again joined by Timida. Timida, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it very much. We might also be joined by Darmesh in a second, but I need to send him the link. He might have to leave throughout. We'll get to that later. Dimitar, though, before I bring anybody else in, you were here on Tuesday, weren't you? After the Middlesbrough game.
Yes.
Now it's a few days ago. It just still doesn't really feel real to me. And everything that Poch has said since today in the press conference again, he tried to sit there and justify it. For some reason, he said that Caicedo told him they lost to Middlesbrough last season, and that wasn't even true. Like, at least I only followed Pice's tweet. Apparently, they won 5-1 there, unless it was the second leg they won 5-4. So I'm a little bit confused by what's going on and how Pochettino, as Chelsea manager, can sit there and essentially pretend like it's okay to lose at Middlesbrough, say we played well or the approach was good. It's just baffling. Like, I haven't spoken to you that many times, obviously, but honestly, I'm not sure how well you've known what I've said in the past, but I'm never, ever want to shout and call for a manager to be sacked. I never do that. I didn't want Lampard to get sacked at the time. Not saying that I necessarily disagreed with the decision.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
and I didn't call for it with Potter. I didn't call for it with Tuchel. But with Poch, like these first 6 months, nothing I see is giving me hope. It's like I just don't know what to turn to. Where do you stand on these things? And
yeah, I know.
Comments like, we played well, or everyone loses at Middlesbrough away, or is it more about what happens on the pitch for you?
I know what you mean exactly. And yeah, I have been following your opinions for some time, and most of the time I agree. Like with the managers, I also don't think that changing managers so often brings the results that are expected. And now Poch is he's surprising everyone. And like I told you in one of our personal chats, I don't think anyone on the planet could predict the starting 11. Also, his assistant coach could not be able to predict that. And I think that is partly due to him, his tactical deficiencies in some areas. Mm-hmm. And I think it has a lot to do with the squad. I just think what we're seeing now is the result of 18 months of poor management, governance, however you want to call it, from the board and the owners. I don't think you can get away with 18 months of pure madness and then just expect to get a brilliant manager and fix everything. It doesn't work like that. No. We shifted around 40 players in the last 18 months. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, we know that Poch is doing some mistakes, and we can acknowledge that, and he has done some crazy press conferences. I think he has said some bad statements, but at the end of the day, 40 new players were shuffled through Chelsea in the last 18 months. I don't know how anyone can expect the team to have any kind of consistency or any kind of playing style. I mean,
very true.
That does not answer your question directly, but this is what I think in general. Most of the problems can be traced to just the poor management of the team.
No, you're spot on, and that's really where the problem comes from, isn't it? Because there's so many problems at the club, from the ownership, from how much change has happened in terms of, like you said, we let go of 40 players, we signed 30 new ones. At least it feels like we signed 30 new ones. And then you're like you said, which manager is going to do well? I was also a little bit in that camp last season for Potter, where I'm like, it didn't really matter who you brought in to replace Tuchel. Not one of them would have really been successful. Maybe a Pep Guardiola, but even a Pep, I don't think would have got us Champions League football last season. I absolutely believe that we were at such a state as a football club, and still are, just in a slightly different state now compared to a year ago, but still both times in a bad state, that, like you say, it doesn't really matter. But that's why it's so difficult, because I'm like, I agree with that, and I have that opinion as well. But the problem is, I still need what I see from the manager, as much as within the difficult circumstances. I still don't think what Poch is doing and what I'm seeing from him is enough. And obviously, for a while, I was like, well, we just kind of have to see it out, ride it out, because it's not going to put us in a good position to sack another manager. It's not going to look good. It's just not going to be great. Imagine, as much as I think maybe the Serbi would be the best option, I don't know, right? But imagine the public view of Chelsea if we now go buy another manager out of Brighton will just be the ridicule of the whole world of football.
Mate, I think we're way past that. I think we are the laughingstock of football, basically, with the occasional Tottenham, Manchester United, or Arsenal popping in the last 18 months. But it's awful. And my point is, I agree with what you're saying, and I actually think, Poch has underperformed. And the only reason he's still in a job is because Potter got sacked for the same thing last year, and they don't want to do the same thing. If this had happened last year and Poch was instead of Potter, he was gone. It's as plain as that. It's kind of like with Manchester United. Ten Hag is only in a job now because they sacked Ole, Mourinho, and Van Gaal before him. So this is, sadly, it's come to this, that it's better maybe to ride out a mistake than make a cascade of new ones by trying to rectify an old mistake, sadly.
Yeah, no, and I absolutely understand that. It's so difficult. Honestly, in the last few weeks, my mind goes back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, nah, we need to get rid of him. And then some other days I'm like, yeah, but look at all these injuries. Is he going to be better under anyone? That's the problem, right? But yeah, it's so tough. Honestly, I know I just said it to you there. I was never one to call for managers to get sacked, even if I by the end agreed that Potter kind of had to go. If I sitting here, I'm like, we probably would have been better off if we just hadn't sacked Potter and just
for sure
exactly had stuck with that until it went really bad eventually, and then say at the end of this season sack Potter and get someone in, but then we wouldn't have had one extra in between, right?
Yeah, and I think that I don't remember who made that tweet, but someone said Chelsea somehow they made a big mistake hiring Potter, but they made a bigger mistake sacking him. And this is what could happen with Poch. Maybe he's not the right man, but sacking him right now, I believe, would not be the right call. If we live in a perfect world, maybe what I would do is I would just say let him ride out the season, and then in the week after the last match day make some kind of decision on it. Because if he improves the playing style, then yeah, sure, keep him. But even if we keep scraping by with stupid results like maybe, let's say, the one against Luton, then it's no point in keeping him. But I don't know, really, it's a very controversial topic for sure. I think at the end of the day, the owners will make a decision based on results. Whenever Europe is mathematically impossible, which for us basically means out of both cups, maybe then they could sack him. But if we qualify for Europe somehow, I think maybe he will survive the season.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that probably. The question is, does he survive if we don't turn it around against Middlesbrough? Which also could happen. And I still think we will beat Middlesbrough, even with Poch, but it's a tough one. I'll go to Damesh. First of all, Dams, thank you for joining us. I know Dams might have to go pick up his mum from the hospital, so he might just leave at some point, but for now, he's joined us. I appreciate your time, Dams, very much. We're just talking about, obviously, Dimitar was here already on Tuesday after the Middlesbrough game, and I'm still not over it. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm still not over it. And it's just, the whole Pochettino situation is just driving me crazy. I'm going to try to find a tweet while you now speak in a second, because there was a tweet that was going around in terms of different of XG to the opponent that we had in each game this season in the league, I think. So at the beginning of the season and then to now, and how it's developed and how it's we're getting worse. It's baffling. Now, obviously, there might be, it might be an up and down situation, and in March we might be much better again. That's very possible. But right now, it's just not looking great. Dams, tell me, where do you sit on the whole Pochettino discussion and conversation? Because, and I said this to Dimitra a few minutes ago, I'm not usually one to call for managers to go. I didn't for Lampard, I didn't for Tuchel, I didn't for Potter, it's not really my style. But with Poch, it just doesn't feel like it's ever going to be right, and I don't have anything to cling on to. He's not really charismatic. 90% of the time, he sits on the sidelines, moaning or arguing with his assistants. Doesn't really do anything. half of the players that I want him to play, he isn't playing. He's playing most of these players. Like, we're in a position where what we need is to develop young players. But what he does with most of them is playing them out of position instead of developing them. So I'm like, what benefit am I even getting out of this? Except like what Tim Dimmitt, I said, at least you're not sacking another one already. That's literally in not sacking him. The only positive is not sacking him, if that makes sense. But where do you stand on the whole Poch topic, Dawes? Because sometimes you're a bit more positive sometimes than I am. So maybe you have a different positive spin on it.
Yeah, big up, boys. Big up the chat as well. Do you know what? This Pochettino situation's like, it's really difficult because I want to back him. Like, oh, I'm sure, like the chat, you guys as well want him to do well. Like, everyone wants him to succeed, but going off what we've seen so far and some of the decisions he's making, he's not impressing us with whether that's team selections, tactics, style of play. No one's really happy with how we're playing football at the moment. It's a bit freestyly at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of components that build up. So, for example, the injuries to Nkunku, the injuries to Reece James. I mean, we've got 12 players out, 13 players out. Correct me if I'm wrong, something like that. And obviously, no manager deserves to sort of work with what they got. But if you're playing originally Chilwell, who was fit before at left wing, when he's not a left wing, when he's a left back, you can't all of a sudden blame injuries for that because you're playing this guy out of position anyway. So why is that experiment still going? Why is the Colwell experiment still going at left back? Obviously, right now he has to because we got no one else to play at left back. The left back we have started, who I don't personally rate, Maatsen anyway. It's gone on loan to Dortmund. So you kind of look at the situation as like he was doing some of the things before these injuries anyway. So it's just all a bit strange, to be honest. And my thinking is, if we sack him, it's just going to be the same stuff that happens with the next manager. If I'm being honest, like whether that's Hansi Flick.
You know what, bro? That's me with the striker. So that's why I'm so indecisive about which striker I think we should get. Because if we get Osimhen, I kind of think he'll flop. If we get Tony, I kind of think he'll flop. If we get fucking Isak from Newcastle, I kind of think he'll flop. It almost, and I'm not necessarily saying this is true. I'm saying that's what the last 2 years have made me expect. Lukaku should have worked for us, but somehow him and us in combination still found a way to fuck it up to make it potentially the worst transfer in history of football.
It's just one of them where Lukaku is just like, this guy just instantly regretted joining us as soon as he said yes. I mean, like, from his point of view, he won the league. It's like, why would you want to come back to Chelsea and say all those things? Oh, I love Chelsea, blah, blah, blah. But that's obviously a different discussion.
I still believe that this was a whole ploy of him to save Inter. Because he wanted to save Inter, but then he turned on Inter, and then Inter turned on him, and now they all hate each other.
I mean, that seems justifiable as well. They also they've sold a couple other players as well. This is why the situation they're in. They've sold Annan as well, but obviously that's a different discussion. But just on
look at what I brought up on screen now, right?
No, sorry, go on.
Now go on.
No, I was going to say as well, like, if we do get past Middlesbrough in the cup, like, no, everyone's going to forget about this 1-0. I don't think a single Chelsea fan's going to care or remember the first leg if we make the Carabao Cup final, and let alone win it. If we win it, then
if we lose it, I think people will say, "Now we should have already sacked him after losing the first leg. Maybe we would have then won the final."
But that's true. But like I said, we're only a goal down.
No, obviously, all of us are expecting us to turn it around. But
that's true. But then obviously,
we've sacked managers for a lot less. Obviously, different ownership and everything else, but we've still sacked managers for a lot less than what's happening so far. But look at what I've brought up on screen, right? This is not from the beginning of the season, but since September, since when we played Bournemouth away. And I think, did we draw that 1-1 or something? You can see the blue is the positive difference between XG for us, essentially, and XG against us. So we were always, in this game, we were 1.7 XG more than our opponent. And you see, it was blue against everyone, including Arsenal, including Spurs, including Man City, including Newcastle. A game we lost 4-1. Somehow, that was still the XG. Baffling how that's possible. But anyway, right? And then all of a sudden, you go to the Man United game, which apparently the XG was very similar, which I don't really understand because from my memory, they absolutely walloped us. But regardless, after that United game, look at what happened. Now, I know we kind of brought it back. It was even against Wolves, which we lost. It was not much better against Palace, but we still won that. And it was ever so slightly worse against Luton, but we still scraped the win. But this graph again, it might be an up and down, and it might go back up to really good come March, and then we'll score more, and then we'll win every game. May happen. But the fact that in a space of 6 months, when the squad is super young, and if anything, things should get better because we have a completely new squad in the summer, a new manager, and young players. So all of those things hint at the longer this stays together, the better it should get. Because you can't even say, we had so many less injuries at the beginning of the season than we do now. Essentially, it's been roughly the same since the beginning. Now, slightly different players in some occasions, but the number has very rarely changed. It's all season been between, about 8 and 13 players missing, pretty much the whole season. So this is where most of my worries come from. I'll ask Dams to comment on this first, and then we'll let Dimitar speak on it, because to me, it's a pretty damning graph. I can't even lie.
I'm just, sorry, I was on mute there. Yeah, literally, bro, like, that's just, like, what do you even make of that in a way? Like, you summed it up perfectly, bro. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, it's baffling.
I generally just like, not saying I don't have words, but that's just like, it's just shocking, to be honest with you. And like, what the hell have we done as a club, man? Honestly, just generally, just, oh man,
it's bad, isn't it? I mean,
Dimitar, your reaction, that's how mad it is.
Literally, I mean, I saw your reaction when I put the
yeah.
It's not good, is it?
I am actually very surprised because at the beginning of the season, I kept seeing this thing that we're winning games on XG, and that was kind of keeping me a little bit positive. But I had no idea the last basically 6 games, they have been awful. I mean, and I have been thinking while you guys were talking, what could be the reason for that? And maybe the constant shifting in defense finally caught up with us. Maybe. Because in the last, let's say, 10 games, we have played Cucurella at left back, Cucurella at right back, Malo Gusto at left back, Malo Gusto at right back. We have played Disasi all over the place. We have played Colwell at left back at numerous times, of course. We tried to play Enzo as a number 10, as a number 8, as a 6. We mix up the attack. We tried Jackson on the left. We tried with 2 strikers. We tried with Madueke, with Sterling, with Mudryk, with Maatsen on the right wing. I mean, it's funny that the more the season progresses, the more inconsistent we get, but also the more experimentation Poch does. And I know some of that is due to injury, but come on, I think that some of the things are very questionable at this point. And you guys are right. This is kind of unacceptable and very strange, because you also said, yeah, maybe it will turn good in March and April, but right now this is looking awful. And I have a feeling, like I said earlier, if Europe is mathematically impossible, meaning we lose to Middlesbrough and then get knocked out by Aston Villa, maybe Poch doesn't survive until February, because with the way we are playing now, it's really bad. And I have no specific explanation for it. I think it's the result of many factors, but boy, this looks terrible. I mean,
it does look terrible. And I think you hit the nail on the head there as well, because now I haven't looked necessarily the stats up myself, but now, they might not have been as good against Everton, Sheffield United, and Wolves in terms of the XG for us. But, I mean, you can see how it moves around. I don't think it obviously, against Sheffield United, it was quite poor. But it didn't drop that much. The problem is how far up the XG against us went. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't think the attack necessarily got so much drastically worse compared to the beginning of the season, right? But the defense did. And that's just confusing. You made a good point, obviously, with the amount of injuries and shifting around we've had, maybe also overplaying of certain players like Thiago Silva, maybe as much as Colwell is already out of position, maybe he's also being overplayed, because when has Colwell I can't remember the last time Colwell didn't play, regardless of the position it was. Because you say that, I mean, RD comments here, he ain't getting sacked, let's face it. And you're probably right. But if we do it like Dimitar said, right, and we will sack him if once Europe becomes kind of mathematically impossible. And that's essentially what we did with Potter last season, right? I mean, we did it before Real Madrid. So Real Madrid, like the Champions League route was still there, but we knew we weren't going to win the Champions League. From the league, it was impossible. And how did that work out? Because then you sack a manager with nothing left to play for. So whether you then bring an interim or a permanent new manager, how how hard is everyone going to try? Like, especially for an interim, you saw it on the Lampard last season. Everybody knew, okay, this guy's gone in 6 weeks. Lampard knew he wasn't playing for anything. And then you see that end of the season that we had, which is so terrible. I still stand by what I said last year. We should have got Poch in straight after Potter, at least. So he could have gotten to know the team and the club before preseason, because he started on July 1st. And for the first 2 weeks, he had to get to know everyone rather than starting to work already. Now, fair enough. He maybe doesn't know about tactics anyway. So maybe it wouldn't have mattered if he turned up earlier. Fair enough. But still, if he did know about tactics, at least he would have had a better chance. But I do unfortunately agree with RD in the grand scheme of things. Unless we get knocked out by by Middlesbrough, I don't see him getting sacked anyway. So,
but can I say something again? I understand what you're saying, but I think Poch would never have agreed to come mid-season after Potter. I think that's the reason why most managers don't do it. Like Ten Hag, he also did not want to go in United after Rangnick. He wanted to start fresh because people don't want to be associated with the failure of others. And let's say a new coach comes in at the end of the season and he loses a couple of games which have no meaning. Those are still losses, and those will still be counted against him. And I am pretty sure no elite manager would come mid-season. That's why elite managers usually don't change mid-season. Your Jose's, your Guardiola's, Klopp's.
I mean,
historically, that's why I think it would be a mistake sacking Poch before summer, because it would 100% repeat what happened last season. New interim, and then a person starts fresh on the 1st of July.
I mean, you make a good point, and Adash obviously says Poch had some gardening league issues. By the way, with PSG, but I think the issue was just that he wanted that money. So if we wanted to appoint him sooner, we would have just had to pay him that money, or we would have had to pay it to PSG or whatever. So it was a Poch issue, but if we were willing to pay whatever the issue was, it wouldn't have been an issue. So it's a bit of a mix. But no, Dimitar, you're right. Like, I can't even add anything. You've literally hit the nail on the head. Like, there's nothing to add. Like, if you bring a manager in mid-season when there's nothing to play for, it's not going to go well for that guy either. The only slight difference you then have is if you already, as the player, right, as the whole team, if you have the new manager that will be here from the summer for next season there already, there is more something to try for. Well, because of Lampard, everyone knew he'd be gone. So there was literally no point in trying for those last 6 weeks of the season. But if you have the manager that you know will be there next season, then you're already kind of trying to play yourself into his favor, I guess. So that's the only benefit. But I absolutely hear what you're saying. So
I think it's also a chance to get rid of Deadwood as well. Like, say managers coming through mid-season as well. If they don't fancy.
You again want to get rid of Deadwood, or just last season?
Sorry, bro, what was that?
Do you again want to get rid of Deadwood, or was that about last season?
Oh no. So I'm just talking generally. Like, say if a manager does come into mid-season, then they're gonna have to get rid of players that they don't fancy really. Whether that's the ones that were underperforming for the previous manager, or players that they don't fancy. And obviously they can't get rid of that Deadwood until those transfer windows open. That's why you probably see more. Obviously, why more managers come through in the summer, or there's a manager change in January, because they have that chance to bring in their own players, basically. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
no, it's true.
That's not even say hypothetically the next manager, whoever that is. I'm just gonna say Hansi Flick because he's the one that's been mentioned. He might not even like players like, for example, Lavia. He might not like players like Enzo, Caicedo, whatever.
But then Poch wasn't asked about these players either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't care what a Poch likes them either. So.
But then, for example, he might like someone like Kepa, who's on loan, for example, and he probably wants to bring him back. So yeah, there's all these factors that we need to consider.
I know he scored the most ridiculous own goal you'll ever see, even though apparently now counted as Rudiger, so maybe he kind of kicked it against Rudiger.
Nah, man, he's shit, man.
Whatever it may be.
Forget Kepa, man.
But is he any worse than Sanchez? I still firmly believe
he is not. Worse.
Petrovic may be better, but Sanchez is the worst goalkeeper I've ever seen. I've never seen someone pass it to the opponent.
Nah, come on, man. Nah.
I agree with Laurenz.
You have all these shit players. You know what, Dimitar? Darms, I can tell you Darm's favourite players. So his favourite players are James Ward-Prowse, Ollie Watkins.
Okay.
Who else do you like? Danny Welbeck?
You can't say Danny Welbeck, bro. Come on.
No, I'm throwing you under the bus now. I apologize. But I have seen an interesting comment here by Vic, which essentially is targeting a report that came out today. So I'll just bring up that report through, I guess, Swiss Ramble, but through Liam Toomey of The Athletic. I won't necessarily speak about your comment, Vic. I'll just speak about the report, but it will be that topic. Just to read it out, and then we'll discuss it together, right? More significant player sales may be required for Chelsea to comply with PSR, basically the Premier League Financial Fair Play, rules for 2023-24. Swiss Ramble projects Chelsea to record a pre-tax loss of £132 million this season and an overall £201 million adjusted loss for the next monitoring period. Almost double the £105 million allowable limit. And then obviously Vic comes up with a comment like, I want a manager to get sacked when this is our financial situation. Now, I'll say two things, right? First of all, Swiss Ramble already said we're basically screwed in the summer. And now it turns out we're not screwed. So let's see whether we're actually screwed next season. I will also add one other thing to that. We will get a new shirt sponsor in the summer as well, which will bring extra money. So it's not like, okay, we now need to sell £100 million worth of players to not be screwed. If we get another 60 whatever million pound sponsor in the summer, then you only need to sell 40 million. So I'm just saying, right? So that these things also have to be included. And I'm not sure if this even includes the Bing X money. I don't know. That's only 10 million a season, so it doesn't sway it drastically, but still 10 million is 10 million, right?
Yeah.
But we do need to sell money. Like, Dimitar, I'll go with you first. I don't know how much, whether like mentally or in terms of reading up on it, you've kind of tried to know what's happening from a financial side of things. But where do you stand on it financially, right? Like, obviously, there's all these reports like we want to sell homegrown players, whether it's Gallagher or Chalobah or Broja. Obviously, we already did it with Mount. How do you see this going? Because obviously the reports are we're going to try to buy Osimhen, we're going to try to buy a left back, we're going to try to buy this, we're going to try to buy that. Like, how can they keep buying? Like, obviously, every time you buy a new player, it's amortized and everything else. But if we buy Osimhen via a release clause, it's not amortized. So how on earth are we going to make that happen? I don't know.
I try to keep up with our finances and transfers, even though that is detrimental to my mental health. But the thing is, you mentioned something very interesting. Let's say we get a new shirt sponsor, and that's around 60 million. So then we will need about 40 million to break even. Well, what a coincidence. We wanted to sell Gallagher for 45 million just like 2 weeks ago. So this may be a coincidence, but these numbers make a lot of sense, and the policy of Todd Bowley makes a lot of sense if you make it so, because we want to shift Chalobah. We will 100% try and sell Maatsen in the summer to Borussia Dortmund if he performs well. We will also maybe try to sell Broja if he doesn't work out, which looks more likely than not at this point. And I think that it's clear they will try to first to balance the books by selling some of our academy players, and then they will try to do some creative accounting to sign more players. But I really don't see any sense in this policy personally, and I haven't seen any sense in Todd Bowley for the last 2 years, but that's a whole different story. I think that the best thing that can happen to us is if we get a transfer ban, actually. And I have commented that on some of your Twitter posts in the last 2 months, and I really believe it. As funny as it may sound to some people, I think the best thing that can happen to Chelsea is to get a manager, or to let this manager work with the current squad and figure out which players are good enough and which are not. Because as things stand, even though we have had Enzo Fernandez for 12 months now, I have no idea if he's fit for the Premier League, if he can be good as people think he is, or if he can be good for the Championship. I have no idea. And the same goes for basically all of the players except maybe Palmer, which we have signed in the last 12 months. No one has any idea if they truly are good enough or they are not. Because I can tell you that if Real Madrid buy Enzo from us in the next 2 weeks, by 2025 he can be the best midfielder in the world. Yeah. I mean, that could happen
for sure.
And
I would even say if Real Madrid buy him from us, that will happen.
Probably, yeah. Or because Real Madrid fans will overhype him, but that's another story. Yeah. The thing is, Our financial situation is a mess, and I believe that they will make more mistakes trying to rectify it. I just hope they don't make something as stupid as just activating Osimhen's release clause, because that means that if they do it, probably not next summer, but the summer after that, we will actually have to sell our best players to be allowed to play in the league. Because financial problems can be pushed maybe 12 to 18 months in the future, but not more than that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and I think we will be seeing the ramifications of the last 18 months in the next 12 months. The question is if that will lead the board to make more mistakes, to make less mistakes, or to maybe just paper over some cracks. I don't know.
Literally. I mean, I don't even disagree with what you said a second ago in terms of we can't, maybe we should, or maybe what we need is a transfer ban. I mean, Vic is saying here that Infinite Athlete won't be paying as much as they have this season from next season. I'm not sure. Like, maybe you make a fair point considering they will only be on the sleeve. Why would they? But you got to remember the Chelsea higher ups have some control over Infinite Athlete. Like, that's the part you can't forget here. Like,
some control.
Exactly. We're just like messing with the system. So that's why I'm like, I mean, maybe you're right, but I wouldn't be surprised if they find some sort of way how Infinite Athlete give us more money than they arguably should, right? But I mean, you make a valid point. You know, maybe they will only pay like 10, 15, whatever they do next season. But as far as I know, at least, and maybe I'm just forgetting, at least we don't have an exact number of what they will pay from next season. But fair enough, maybe my sponsorship point wasn't that valid then. But it's still, I mean, we will obviously when you sell a player, it's straight away like kind of the money you make goes straight on the revenue kind of books. While when you buy players, it's only per year, right? So it's much easier to make money back than it is to spend money in that sense. But, and Dams, obviously, I'm not going to ask you in terms of detail, how do you think we will fix our financial situation? But what I'm asking from you is, the more and more these things keep happening and the more and more of these reports come out and the more we're going to be forced to sell your Gallaghers, your Broyers, your Chalobahs, we're going to run out of these youth players eventually. So what are we got? Like, now we have a few left, right? But what are we going to do in 2 years? Are we then going to be so screwed that we're going to sell Reece James and Levi Colwill? Or what are they going to do? Like, because, yeah, for now, you had Mount and you have Gallagher and you have Broyer and you have Chalobah. But who do you have then, right? Alfie Gilchrist, but then who, right? Like, we can't even sell players. Like, people give too much praise to this ownership about selling players. Now, we sold some players really well. Havertz, Mount, in terms of the money we got for them. Fantastic. But let's not forget, we still have Kepa. Didn't manage to sell him. He'll be back. But they made sure we signed 2 goalkeepers. So come next summer, we'll have 3 goalkeepers that want to be first choice. So that is a problem in and of itself, right? We couldn't sell Maatsen now. We had to loan him. It was so desperate that we actually had to terminate Datro Fofana's loan. So we could even loan Ian Maatsen. We'll speak about the Maatsen and Fofana loan situation in a second. But still, we're not even selling players properly. Like, where do they think the money's coming from? It's just baffling. I don't know. For months and years, for the first year and a bit, I was sat there saying, okay, there's a lot of issues with this ownership. They might not know who to sign. They might not know which players to keep or which managers to keep and sack and hire, whatever.
Or what to do.
Exactly. But what I did think is they're business people. So surely the part they will have under control and I won't have to worry about is the financial side of things. But now we've realized they took way too long to get sponsor for the front of the shirt. We started the first month or month and a half of the season, didn't have a sponsor on the shirt. Then it took us 6 months to get a sleeve sponsor on the shirt. And like, the only reason the whole Infinite Athlete deal happened for 1 year is because they were fully expecting to be back in Europe next season and then to negotiate a bigger, more lucrative main sponsorship deal. But if we're not back in Europe again, then we're also not then still going to get our big revenue sponsor. So have these owners done anything good? That's essentially my question.
Well, that's a long-winded question. They've done some good things, but at the same time, they've done very, very bad things as well. Obviously, the manager appointments, some of the style of sort of recruitment as well has been scattergun. It's been crazy, manic, and yeah, I think the capping at 25 years old signing players is something that's like, I think it's baffled most Chelsea fans, especially like I know me, you know, think strongly about getting more sort of ready-made, experienced players into the team rather than build it around 25 years and younger people. But yeah, just on your point about transfers and stuff, bro. I do think we can sell players because we've seen in the last window, obviously, as you said, players like Mount and Havertz will rarely come in terms of like come to the club, we could sell them on. But there's always a player that comes through in the next sort of 12, 18 months, and then they'll get the opportunity, and then we can sell them for some sort of value, whether that's a loan for a while. Don't forget we've got Hakim Ziyech coming back as well. That's one you forgot as well. We got him coming back as well. I'm sure we can sell him for at least 10 million if we're lucky.
What, Hakim Ziyech, you mean?
Yeah, Hakim Ziyech. He's coming back, isn't he?
Galatasaray have an option to buy him, in quotation marks, for free. So, like, they can just keep him permanently without paying us a penny. That's how desperate we were to get rid of him. Another example, by the way, of a player that this ownership actually failed to sell, even if a lot of the fan base on Twitter will try to tell you, our ownership is so amazing at selling players. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, no, that's a fair play to them for the last window for the incomings and outgoings. I mean, like, all of us were gassed as Chelsea fans, or most of us were. Like, we were like over the moon that we signed Caicedo, we signed all these players that we did, and got rid of the so-called dead wood from our team. So why can't we do it again? But I think what would you call it? I just think that the next 12 to 18 months, like, anything can change, bro. Like, there'll be an academy player that comes through. We can easily sell him for whatever price to a championship club, to maybe like a championship / Premier League club as well. Premier League club that goes up and down basically. So yeah, I do think it's possible. And I don't think that we'll be in much trouble, to be honest with you. But I think Dimitar's right. Like where the hell is this money coming from in a way? It's like you kind of trust them to do the right things that way, but at the same time, it can go horribly wrong, as we've seen with Everton, potentially Nottingham Forest as well. And we've seen with Man City. Obviously, Man City's is completely different because theirs is not really anything financial based. It's more breaking rules and stuff. But we've seen how quickly it can sort of screw us, basically. So, yeah.
It's not ideal. I mean, Johnny here, by the way, shout out Johnny. He says, technically, we won't run out of homegrown players considering our academy. You also have to consider all the wonder kids we have signed that will undoubtedly flip for profit. I wish I had your optimism. How many of the players that we've signed, these, wonder kids, how many of them so far have increased in value? Kendrick Paez, and that's it. Do you have a name?
I think only Palmer. Palmer is
Palmer. But in terms of like the younger ones that don't even play for us yet.
Yeah, but
they're all not really, like, Angelo had a great start at Strasbourg, now struggling, right? All the Datro Fofana, dreadful. Like, couldn't get his shit together at Union Berlin, and I put my head out there, and he will barely play about it. I'm already telling you that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. But the problem with that is, Johnny, two things. Number one, the reason why we had so many academy players right now that we were able to sell for big profit is because of the transfer ban and Lampard. So you had Mount, and you have Reece, and you have now Colwell, which wasn't to do with Lampard, but still, you have Broja, you have Gallagher. These, and we already years ago sold Tammy. We now sold Callum Hudson-Odoi, even if we barely got any money for him. That was by far the best crop of players that Cobham has ever produced, and the current under 19s, under 18s, under 21s, they're not anywhere near as good as they were 5 years ago. So all these ones coming through now will not be worth as much money as these ones that we've now been selling over the last few years. Because where they're going to come from? They're not going to get the chance in the first team because all we're doing is signing Brazilians and Argentinians and Peruvians and whoever else you can think of that's 12 and not from Europe. We're signing all of them, and they will never play for us, and maybe we'll make some profit. But you can't forget, we signed all of them for 20, 30 million. Are we really going to make so much profit on them? I don't know. Alfie Gilchrist, yeah, you can sell him for a bit of money. But how much? How much? And you got to think as well, when the players don't see the future, and when these players aren't idiots. They have agents, they have parents, they have people that advise them. They realize, this ownership are only really using us academy players to make money. So these academy players don't run around with 15-year contracts, all of them. Most of them need to sign their first professional contract. And if they just choose not to, because they know all that will happen is Chelsea selling them to make money, to get pure profit, then they will just leave, often on a free, in the last year of their contract. They will not make us money infinitely. Like, I know we have an academy, but if they don't make it to the first team, if our loans aren't successful, and name me one that has been successful so far, I don't believe that they will believe in it. And if they stop believing in it, it will never work. But I mean, like I said, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And Johnny, this is what I thought a year ago. And
the thing is, you also said it perfectly. We sold a lot of players because of Lampard, because he played a lot of the youth and he gave them experience. Who will buy an academy player who has 17 appearances as a 5-minute sub? No one. I mean, he can be the best young talent, but if people don't see him apply his skills in the Premier League and show a consistent level, no one will buy him. People wanted Mount because he scored 10 goals 2 years ago in the Premier League. People want Gallagher because they see he has certain qualities in the Premier League. For a 3rd season in a row, he's playing in the league. So no one will buy players without experience.
And West Brom as well already, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So no, you're right, and that's my worry. I mean, like I say, Johnny, you said there that Europe isn't the be-all and end-all for the sponsors, but maybe it is, because I said last year, maybe if we won't be in Europe, these American owners, they will get us a great deal. I thought that, and then look at what happened. We didn't even have a sponsor until September, and we didn't have a sleeve sponsor until January. Oh, sorry, December, I should say. Right? I'm not like. We had these, like, with Riyadh Air, all sorts of deals agreed. Yeah, but they were telling everyone we're buying a 100-point team. Except it turns out we're scraping 40 again for a second season running. Oh, my day.
Yeah.
It's just miserable times. It's just miserable times. But let's talk about, sorry, Johnny, if I'm not replying to all of your responses again as well. We need to keep going with the stream, obviously. Let's talk about a few of the transfer pieces of news that we got over the last couple of days. First and foremost, let's start with that one. Darms is one of the most adamant that he's not a big fan of Ian Maatsen anyway, but Ian Maatsen has now joined Borussia Dortmund on loan. They have an option to buy, but that seemingly has some sort of clauses in it or whatever. We're not quite sure on the details. But he also signed a contract extension until 2026, so that's in, 2.5 years from now, essentially. And potentially there could even be an extra option in there. So what Chelsea have done here isn't stupid, because he's lost, obviously, a lot of value in this 6 months at Chelsea. And now we're hoping that we send him to Dortmund and that will increase his value and then we can sell him. But that might also not work out. So we'll see how this one goes. It's also like Dortmund are arguably better than us. So if he goes there and plays there, that's another reason to sack Poch, in my opinion. But, obviously different league and everything. But yeah. I'll start with you, Dams. You never really rated Ian Maatsen that highly. I was always a little bit surprised by quite how strong that opinion of yours was, because I'm like, but he was in a championship team of the season. Can't be that bad. And he hasn't really gotten the chance in his actual position in the Premier League. So how can we be sure that he is not good enough, if that makes sense? Especially when you compare it to how many chances all the other players have gotten. But he's not, which that's the whole thing I find so unfair. I'm like, we didn't have a left back pretty much the whole season. And you had Maatsen there and you didn't even play him there once. It's just baffling.
But bro, I think there's a reason why he wasn't playing in games like, for example, Blackburn at home. And I've seen him quite a few times when I was lived in Coventry. He used to live in Coventry City as well. I just never rated him, to be honest with you. And the step up from the Championship to the Premier League is actually massive as well. So like we've seen so many players do well in the Championship and struggle in the Prem. That's why most of the teams that come up, most of the time they go down, straight back down. It's only rare few players that actually do well in the Championship. For example, Mitrovic. Like Mitrovic was bought as a Premier League player, but then played in the Championship most of the time and then still killed it in the Premier League. So obviously they're playing different positions, Maatsen and Mitrovic, but it's just an example of that. It's very rare you find a good Championship player that can do it in the Prem. And yeah, Maatsen just isn't it, man. I'm just not keen on him. And if Poch really did see something in him, then he'd play at least a cup games. Like other players got their chances, but he wasn't even getting to those sort of games. And yeah, I mean, it's a valuable asset as well. We can make money off as well. So that will help with
but who's to say that Poch's judgment is what's right? Like Poch also let go of. No, it wasn't purely his decision, but he has decided rather than using Lewis Hall or using Ian Maatsen left back, he decided Levi Cole at left back is a great idea. So how should I really judge whether Poch's opinion is what matters? You know what I mean?
Ultimately, it's gonna have to be, bro. He's the manager. He's
Oh, no, but in terms of
hand in
my
hand.
opinion, whether I think this is a valid reason for me to rate or not rate Maatsen, that's what I'm trying to say. Obviously, in terms of
of course,
factually who's being used, obviously it's his decision. I get that. But in terms of should that make us rate or not rate a player, is what I'm trying to say. But in general, do you think the loan move to Dortmund is a good idea for him, though?
I think at the moment it is a good idea because there's always that chance he can come back to us. Say if we do desperately need a left back, whether that's Lewis Hall on loan, Cucurella's injury situation, Chilwell's injury situation, which is why like I did want Maatsen to go, but at the same time it would have made more sense to go in the summer instead of now because we're having this left back crisis now where we've only got Levi Colwill back and partially Ben Chilwell as well. So I think a loan move is best for now. Then that way, a lot of scouts can see him play as well and identify what his greatest strengths in the Bundesliga. And who knows, Dortmund might want to buy him. And that's obviously, that'll, like I said, help the financial side of things as well for us. And I think there will come times where these players do go on loan, whether we agree or disagree with it. Yeah. And they're eventually going to get bought. It's just the way it's just the way it has to be, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but not all of them. Look at Callum. Callum Hudson-Odoi. He
Yeah.
never really got bought for any serious money. What, 5 million we got for him?
5 million,
5 years ago, he was touted as the biggest talent in all of England.
But then again, obviously he had that injury as well. That's probably put a lot of people off. But Maatsen, if he kills it in Bundesliga, if they get a trophy or something or whatever, or if they finish in the Champions League spots, then I'm pretty sure Dortmund would want to keep him. And I believe we can make at least 35 million out of Maatsen. I don't know about you guys or the chat as well.
You think so? Absolutely.
I think so. I think we can fleece these lot for about 35.
Yeah. I don't know if Dortmund have 35 million to spend on a left back that's 21. I don't know if they have that kind of cash. That's part of our problem, isn't it? That only Premier League clubs have money. No one else has any money. So that's why we're struggling so much to sell all of our deadwood players, because the Prem clubs don't want them. Like again, the Prem clubs took the Havertz and Mounts off us, but all the other ones, we didn't find any Prem clubs that wanted them. And that's why we had to loan and, sell them for so little money.
Well, you have to keep in mind Maatsen is also homegrown. So that will be a massive, massive plus if we try to sell him
in England. Yeah.
If we of course, yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. I think also
again, the Bundesliga players as well. Sorry.
Let me just say that, Dom.
Yeah,
I'll let you make your point in a second. I think Adash makes a good point that his lack of height is probably one of the reasons why Maatsen has had so little chances in the team. Is absolutely a valid point. I mean, Johnny said it here as well. Levi is playing there because Cucurella and Chilwell are injured, but that's not true. Levi was playing there when Chile was fit, and Chile played left wing, and Levi was playing there when Cucurella was perfectly fit. And then Cucurella came in at right back, and only then, remember Levi had a shoulder injury, only then Cucurella played left back. Otherwise, it was always Levi, whole season. Yeah. And also the whole aerial duel stand, that's because he is at left back, and his aerial duels are against wingers. If he was a centre back, he wouldn't have this high of an aerial possession. Yeah. But that's a whole separate thing. Dimitar, thoughts? Ian Maatsen's loan to Dortmund, good move overall? Because I think overall it is a good.
It's good for him for sure. I personally have no idea if he's good enough or not. I haven't watched him. I know people who watch the youth leagues. They were always hyping him up. He may be good. He may not be good. We just have no idea. And I think a problem here is that maybe there's something behind the scenes we don't know, because maybe Poch knew that they want to sell him for profit sometime in the future, and that's why he doesn't want to rely on him so much. But I don't know. I think that was certainly the situation with Lewis Hall. I think Poch had absolutely no say in that transfer, because when the board says, "Hey, listen, bro, we have to sell him for 35 million because we need the money," then Poch says, "Okay, I'll work with what I have." So I don't know. I think for sure it's a good transfer for him. I hope he takes his chance, and maybe he returns as a better player and we give him a chance, or maybe we sell him and he doesn't ruin his career. Because one thing is for sure, a lot of players who are coming up at Chelsea now, if they ring up Callum Hudson-Odoi and ask him, "Hey bro, what should I do with my career?" he's gonna tell him, run away from Chelsea. Because all of these loans, all of these manager changes, they're not good for developing young players. And that's why we have not developed a lot of good young players. I think the last players we developed basically were Mount, Tammy, and Tamori. And most of them got their development away from us, and they just got the Premier League experience here.
But
But the last couple of players who were counted as big talents, and you can say Levi Colwill is the latest example. He got his Premier League experience at Brighton, and without that season at Brighton, he would not be playing for us right now. So how good are we at developing players is beginning to come into question, and will those players want to stay? How will they negotiate contracts? I have no idea, but the thing is, a lot of things are worrying about Chelsea right now, and I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough. I also want
It's
to
tough.
quickly react to this Fire Red comment here. He said, but he did it in a physical championship league. You're right. I don't think it's necessarily his lack of height is necessarily a physique issue. I don't think it's lack of strength. I think it's more what the rest of our team is, that we don't have a tall DM, that there's a lack of height. Like we have on average the third shortest team in the league, I think. It's very close
also,
in terms of differences.
We have Thiago at center back, and he's not exactly tall.
He's not even 6 foot, or is he just about 6 foot? He's, I think, 180 in centimeters, right? And that's not 6 foot. So, that kind of tells you everything you need to know. But anyway, to make way for this Maatsen loan, because there was a story going around initially that under 21 homegrown players do not count towards the 7 international spots. But turns out that isn't true, because otherwise we wouldn't have had to call back David Datro Fofana, who we called back a couple of days ago from Union Berlin, where his loan really failed. Now, he did score in the Champions League for them, away at Napoli, for example. So he did do something, but he also had some disciplinary issues where, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but he was removed from the squad for like a match day or two, even though he then apologized and fought his way back in, and the manager kind of praised his attitude. Still, there was some disciplinary issues initially, and now he's going on loan to Burnley. Now, in theory, I would say that is actually a good loan, giving him Premier League experience and everything else. The problem is, will he play? Or are Burnley just using the option to get? Obviously, they're using his covering his wages, but his wages aren't big because of where we signed him from or when we signed him under the new ownership. Or is it just literally us making way for the international loan? Because honestly, David Datro Fofana, for me, the most pointless signing this ownership has made. From all of the signings we've made, I think Fofana is the most pointless one that I never really saw the point of, personally. You could argue Disasi, but at least Disasi has some sort of experience and is, a little bit old. He's, excuse me, he's the oldest of the lot we signed, right? Like, so he's arguably at least brings that. But if I let you go first on this one, Fofana, first of all, do you agree with me that he's a very pointless signing?
I think he, as well as a couple of others, I feel are completely pointless. Maybe you will not agree with most of them, but I think at the time Cucurella was absolutely pointless.
Yeah.
I think also swapping Kepa for Sanchez is also absolutely pointless in my opinion, just waste of money. I am still on the fence about Malo Gusto, because last summer we had Tino Livramento on the books and we sold him, and then in the winter we bought backup for Reece James and another 20-year-old right back. I mean, I hope he proves me wrong, but I think also from
so recently that we sold Livramento a while longer. We sold him to Southampton, and then we had a buyback option. We didn't use it, but we sold him longer ago. But you're right, we had the option to sign him.
Okay, that may be so, but I still think that, I don't know, I just kind of find it very bizarre that we're signing 20-year-old wonder kids while looking to sell our 20-year-old wonder kids. I find this general dynamic very bizarre, and this is, of course, we know that the board know nothing about football, but okay, yeah. So back to David Datro Fofana. I also have no idea if he's a good player, just like Maatsen, because we never gave him a chance. I mean, I saw some highlights from Union Berlin, especially when he scored against Napoli. Some people on Twitter were hyping him up, but I have no idea if he will turn out to be good.
How much does it mean? Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this could be a good loan for him if he gets playing time. Because if he just makes like 7 sub appearances and in the summer he comes back again, then that was useless. And that was obviously to make way for the Maatsen thing. But I don't know. I just hope for his sake he plays some football, so we can either sell him or loan him, or God knows, maybe even use him. Because the possibility for a transfer ban, in my opinion, is still not that small. So if we get some sort of a transfer ban or some regulations on what kind or what number of players we are allowed to sign, then every player we have on the books should be reassessed, in my opinion. But that's another story again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if we do get a transfer ban, that's when all these young players that we signed become smart. If we get a 2-3 year transfer ban, that's when it makes sense in hindsight. But The problem is they're still not really good enough. They may be good enough to get us 8th, but how many of them are going to be good enough to get Champions League football, let alone challenge for the Premier League title?
The thing is, I'm not sure we can say if anyone is particularly bad or good at this point because our team is just all over the place. I mean, it can turn out that Caicedo is the best CDM in the world for the next 10 years. But that would probably have to be at another club because we have no structure, no good way of managing the squad. And I think that's the problem. Because we don't know if we have good players or not.
That is true. That is another issue, isn't it? But then I'm thinking, like, just looking at how are the loans going, right? When you look at Tomori had a great loan, Mount had a great loan, Reece James had a great loan. Why did they have great loans? Because they're good players. When players have multiple not good loans, at some point you have to question whether they are good players. Now, obviously, there's sometimes outside factors. It's, especially for Angelo at Strasbourg now, right? We signed him from Brazil, brought him straight to America for preseason. Then rather than being with this group that he now got to know and made friends with, for example, Mudryk, we then, after the season had already started, ship him out to Strasbourg, where he had to integrate into another new group with another new language in another new country. That's not easy at 18, no matter where you come from. But if
of course.
So these are maybe small reasons why you have different reasons. But yeah, I mean, Johnny in the chat said Moreira is the most pointless signing. Maybe he is. I don't remember how much he cost. So I don't know how to compare it. But remember Moreira that played in preseason a couple of times?
No idea.
Portuguese. I think it's Portuguese, isn't he?
That's exactly the problem.
He played in the I think he played in the Wimbledon game or Blackburn game.
I actually have no idea who you guys are talking about, but Chelsea signed so many players, so I don't know.
Yeah.
See, he was free. That's what I thought. So, Johnny, no, you're wrong because he was at least free. Even if he's shit, if he's free, it's not that bad. But we paid actual money for Fofana. This is the issue.
We paid like 20 million or 15 million for Fofana, something like that.
Yeah, I think no, he's at Lyon loan. That's true. But is he playing? I don't think so. But yeah, I don't know. I think it may be 12, 15 million, something like that we paid for Fofana. So
pocket money.
Low, but he was, 21 or 20 and playing in the Norwegian league? I could already tell you by that fact alone that he's not going to be a superstar. Otherwise, you're not at 21 in the Norwegian league. There's a reason why Haaland left there at 17. Didn't stay there any longer. Like, for flip's sake, do you know what I mean? But yeah, Dams, thoughts on the Fofana loan? 9 million, apparently, Enzo Fernandez said. Cheers, Enzo. Play better tomorrow, please. Thanks. But yeah, thoughts terminating that Union Berlin loan. There was apparently people at Union Berlin that were trying to convince Fofana of staying rather than leaving on the terminated loan. But now he's at Burnley. If he plays, great loan. But if he sits on the bench the whole time, just another waste, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just had a look at the lineup because Burnley play Luton tonight. I don't think he's on the bench at all. And he's obviously not starting.
No, it's not even been officially yet. So
yeah,
it's
not been official yet. I think it's a good decision in a way to have him play some Premier League football in a way. Whether how much of that he gets, we don't know. Burnley are struggling in the Premier League right now. They need goals. They need to win some games. So, yeah, I mean, it could be a good move for him. Keep Burnley up in the Premier League. That's the only thing you can really do. Then, yeah, I mean, if he scores at least 5 to 10 goals by the end of the season, then I think that's given the standard that we have right now of strikers and centre forwards. I think you'll slot right back in to pre-season, like whether that's under Poch or whatever. That's just how low the standard is for a centre forward or striker right now. Broja's not really cutting it. Jackson's obviously very split in terms of you see very good stuff, but you also see really bad. If Fofana does well, then I guess he should get his chance if he has a good loan move, and yeah, just take it from there. I mean, I remember the game against, funny enough, was it Fulham last season he played? That was the only game he started for us, I believe.
Yeah, he didn't look shocking, but then he looked half time anyway.
He did okay. I mean, like, there was that one chance where he took it around the keeper. He should have scored. I think he did he try to pass it or just I think he had a weak shot.
I think it was an attempted shot. It was just a really
attempted shot. I don't remember who it was against. I think it was Fulham or Southampton. I don't remember actually.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, if he, like I say, if he has a great loan, scores 5 to 10 goals between now and the end of the season, then yeah, he should get his chance. in pre-season. If he's not cutting it pre-season in the first few games of the next sort of window, then yeah, we can look to sell him or look to loan him again.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, hey, if he does get some minutes, we will probably be able to sell him for profit. But it still just feels a little bit baffling. But breaking news, while we have been live here, without saying too much, I did actually hear about this about an hour ago, but couldn't say it publicly. But now Fabrizio's come out with it, so now we can speak about it. We already spoke about the player Estevão Willian, also called Messinho, which I find a bit strange. He's Brazilian, so Brazilians don't like Messi, but maybe they do. We keep working on a deal to sign him. He has a release clause 60 million euros, and he's born in 2007, so he could only play for us in 2025. Now, these are tricky, right? You have Endrick there, and you're like, I'm not sure if people heard it, but Endrick was so close to joining us, so close. But then we kind of pulled out, or something happened, and then Real Madrid turned up, and obviously he picked them over us. And then I'm like, I kind of wish we got Endrick, because he's at least a striker. The thing that annoys me is that Estevão Willian is another winger, another left-footed, right-sided winger. How many more of those are you going to try to sign? You have Palmer, you have Angelo, now you want him as well. Like, you can't have all of them. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like playing career mode with like financial takeover or whatever. Like, it's mental. What are they doing? Like, we have so many issues in the first team, and these lot are considering paying 60 million for a 12-year-old. Okay, but still, it's mental. But at the same time, if he turns out, and by the way, thank you, Dexter, he's another left-footed right winger that we have. But if he obviously turns out to actually be the next Neymar, well, then he's obviously worth the money. But how can I know right now how good he is? So I don't really know what to make of this. But at the end of the day, I can't control it. So I'd rather we buy an actual super talent, like too many of these. So, like, if you have a 60 million euro release clause at 15, you're probably half decent. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that release clause. I will say, as honest as it is, right? But when you sign these kids for 10 million, then I'm like, yeah, but why him? Do you know what I mean? And so I'd be more for this, as much as it's crazy money, than I am for a lot of the other kid signings. But it still makes me feel. Omari Hutchinson, Dexter, yeah, thank you. Another one.
By the way, not to interrupt you, but the Chelsea official Twitter page announced we have signed another young player from America just like 1 minute ago.
I think we
literally as we are speaking.
In the summer, but now he's officially here. But
yeah.
It's crazy. It's go, please, on Estevão Willian. Obviously, none of us know anything about him. I've watched one compilation of clip of him. But
what do you mean we don't know anything about him? Don't you watch the under-15 Brazilian league like every day? Actually, apparently, Todd Bowley does that every day because he keeps trying to buy players from there. I mean, I have no idea what they're doing. I mean, keep in mind, if this dude is 15 now, players normally look to impact first teams around 20. I mean, at the earliest 19. So whatever we do, he may be the next Neymar. We will see any signs from him. We will see any impact from him in 2029. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying we should not keep signing these players if we believe they will be world class, but what the hell are they doing? I mean, we lost to Middlesbrough like 4 days ago, and they are looking to buy a player who could potentially impact the team in 5 years. Yeah. How does that make sense?
Exactly. That's the big question. Like, and also,
I can understand
it. A player like this, the reality hits that these owners will still be here in 5 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, they cannot sell the club, I think, until 2032 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, exactly. It's baffling. I mean, like I said, he's probably good, just like Andre Santos is probably good. But then we unfortunately sent Andre Santos to Nottingham Forest and ruined his whole career.
Yes.
And now we don't even know what to do with him because now he's
if we buy
20s Brazilian Olympics, some sort of thing.
If we buy this kid, he can expect to be on loan at Bournemouth in about 3 years' time.
Yeah, if he's lucky. If he's unlucky, he's got to be a fucking Ipswich or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, same questions really. Another kid, but I guess he's more likely to be a superstar, but still another kid, really. Like, oh, it just feels so wrong. Okay,
Honestly,
he's actually
bro.
16. Fair enough. He's not 15. Brilliant.
No, sorry,
Honestly,
guys.
I'm just sick of this, man. Just why do we keep going down this approach, man? It's like you expect Man City to do this kind of thing, like
Yeah,
they're actually there winning trebles, trophies, whatever, and they're looking to rebuild every year. We're doing the exact opposite. We're rebuilding, but we're not at the top doing well, and we're not at that level where we should look to even consider about wonder kids when our team is basically a mess. And oh man, I just don't even know, man. Like, why? Like, what's the point? Like, why can't we just get players that are ready now, ready to win now, ready to bed into a style play now, and ready to impact the team now? Like, I just don't understand. Like,
I can tell you, because these players that are good now, they see that we are shit now, so they don't want to come here. But the 16-year-olds, we can tell them, yeah, don't worry, in 2 years we'll be good again. And he's like, all right.
Like, what are we promising these wonder kids? Are we like genuinely like
money? It has to be money.
Money and free healthcare, probably.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, London lifestyle as well.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a couple of cars for their family in Brazil. Do you know what I mean? God knows. We'll find some way, you know. People know that all the stories about how Roman Abramovich got certain signings over the line, and they weren't even 12. So, you know, at least Todd Bowley's name didn't show up on the Jeffrey Epstein thing, right? At least, that would have been the only thing that could top this ownership of if they showed up on these Epstein lists. Like, that would have been.
Oh my God! Yeah, man.
Imagine.
But is this guy a winger, by the way? Or...
yeah, that's the only thing saving us. But yeah, there you go. If we sign Esteban Willian, great. But also, if we don't, I'm not going to cry over a 15-year-old. Sorry.
What position is this guy? Sorry,
right winger.
Oh, he's a right winger. Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make
like
no
I
sense
said, another right winger. Gabriel, like Angelo, right? Madueke, Omari Hutchinson, Palmer. That's already 4 right and left.
Just keep in mind that when this guy's 20, Palmer will be 26. So let's say this guy is a super wonder kid. So what, are we going to replace Palmer with him? Or, I mean, theoretically, let's say Palmer is in the prime of his career, and then comes up the next Neymar. What do we do?
Mate, you don't have to worry. In 2 years, we'll have to sell Palmer for profit. So Palmer won't be here by then. So, yeah, that's a whole separate issue. But yeah, enough of this. Let me quickly bring up this other new signing that we've made, and then we can finally get into talking about the game for tomorrow. I was telling Dimitar, this won't be such a long stream. We're already here for an hour and 10 minutes, for flip's sake. I apologize, mate.
Well, if they keep signing 15-year-olds, we'll be here until morning.
Exactly.
It's not our fault.
Dujon Richards completes Chelsea move. Dujon Richards has officially completed his move to Chelsea from the Phoenix Academy. The Jamaican international signed for the Blues in the summer and trained with the first team squad during our pre-season tour of the USA. Richards celebrated his 18th birthday in November and has now finalized his switch to Stamford Bridge. He says, I'm so pleased to be here. My dream was always to sign a professional contract, and to have the chance to do that here at Chelsea, it's difficult to put into words the emotions. Again, so his dream was a professional contract.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. I also still dream about professional
I'm highlighting
contracts.
that is like, so he didn't even think of him becoming a superstar. He only, let me get a professional contract at fucking Phoenix Academy, probably. Do you know what I mean? And now he's at Chelsea. How has he done that? Yeah, no, we did already sign this guy, but now he's actually joined us because he's now turned 80. Yeah, but apparently he's playing for Jamaica, so big up him. The problem is Jamaica is not good at football. Like, other than Michail Antonio, does anyone know any Jamaican footballers?
Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey, yeah.
It's true.
But I think these are the only two. Probably.
Exactly. There was, I mean, Usain Bolt played in Australia. So, you know, it's something. But yeah, but the whole Leon Bailey, even that, obviously he's born. I'm not questioning. It doesn't matter where you're born. It matters about where you grow up and if there is facilities to make you a good footballer. That's the matter.
Yeah, of course.
For Leon Bailey, I think he got adopted by some super rich guy that adopted all sorts of children from everywhere and put them all in football academies. So that's why Leon Bailey became the. So
this guy was thinking about Project Mbappe 20 years ago.
Literally. I mean, I haven't listened to it yet, but apparently Thierry Henry, his dad, did that essentially with him already too. So Maybe it was Project
Wow.
Thierry Henry back in the day, and now it's Project Mbappe.
Ethan
Wes
Pinnock
Morgan,
another
yeah,
one,
I
by
mean,
the
obviously
way,
he doesn't
as
play
well.
anymore, but yeah, Wes Morgan. Big up him. That was good. That's the
And
same
Laurenz,
guy.
Ethan Pinnock for Brentford as well.
Yeah, we know that, mate. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, were you?
No. Sorry, I was reacting to the comment.
Oh,
Who were you saying, sorry, bro?
Ethan Pinnock for Brentford.
All right, don't know who he is,
Yeah.
but fair play.
He scored against us, bro, this season.
Exactly, that's probably why I don't know who he
Oh,
is.
wow. Oh, yeah, that's the lad that scored the first goal. Yeah.
Yeah. He's Jamaican
man.
as well.
Yeah, Damari Gray played for Jamaica. Did he? I thought on FIFA he has an England flag, but hey, fair play. But yeah, there. Oh, really? Richards are also rich. So our Richards guy is from the same old dude's guy that adopted Bailey. All right, fair enough. This guy seems to be some dodgy guy. I will say. Did we check whether his name is on the Epstein list or?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to check maybe? But yeah, let me just check if I have any other important. Oh yeah, that's the last thing I want to talk about before we talk about the team. Exclusive from TalkSport. Chelsea could break the British transfer record.
Oh man, no, please.
Which is, I don't know, British transfer record if it's because we are a British team, but Evan Ferguson is not British. He is Irish. But anyway, Brighton believe he's worth more than £150 million that they got for Caicedo. Now, I can only tell you this. What I know is that Osimhen is Chelsea's first choice. So if we do end up going for Ferguson, that's only because we don't get Osimhen. But that could still happen. But yeah, absolutely gets in the bin. Stop dealing with Brighton. The only thing I'll accept doing with Brighton is getting the Serbi. I'd love a Stupinian. I wouldn't even hate Ferguson, but no, we've signed enough of their players. I don't want to deal with them ever again. Please, no, just leave it alone. Do you share those thoughts, Stabs? Like, surely.
Yeah, I mean, Evan Ferguson isn't even like I think the other 4 or 5 names I've got in my mind ahead of him. So yeah, and for that price as well, 115 million for Ferguson. And I think what it means by
it's
British record, I think it's the most expensive. Sorry,
he probably costs like 80, but who knows?
Yeah, and I think what it means by British record, I think it's the most expensive British player in a way. Whereas obviously take it to account Wales, Scotland, and Ireland as well. So he'll technically be the most.
I think it's between 2 British clubs.
Northern Ireland, bro, not Republic of Ireland.
Sorry.
When British is not Republic of Ireland, only Northern Ireland, and he's
isn't he Republic of Ireland or?
Yeah, he is. So it's not British. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think British means between 2 British clubs. Actually, that's I think what it should be meant.
Yeah, that could also be the case. Yeah, that's valid.
I assumed it was like a natural British player, like he would be the most expensive one.
Because he doesn't count as Britain, innit? Like Republic of Ireland is not Britain.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird, but anyway, like there's at least 4 or 5
he's also
names
injury prone. I didn't even know that. I won't lie.
Well, if we are interested in him, he must be.
Yeah, very true.
That's so true.
Yeah, I mean, Dimitar, just quickly, I don't think any of us wants to deal with Brighton again, especially for money like this for someone as unproven as him.
The thing is, I personally don't care who the striker is. I think we should not buy anyone until the summer.
Yeah.
At the least, because we have no style of play and no striker would thrive under this team. I mean, for me, it's as simple as that. I think we should try and make it work with Jackson and Broya and then assess in the summer. Because if the midfield doesn't play well, if the defense is not organized, I think no striker would score more than 10 goals in this team anyway. So, and especially if we have to deal with Brighton, yeah, I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of also paying more than 100 million of any currency for any type of player. It's just ridiculous. And these transfers, they are basically a lose-lose because the player, in most cases, will not live up to expectations, and then the club has to deal with FFP afterwards. I mean, I see no sense in these transfers anyway.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm not necessarily. I don't think that this report is talking about now, but all these big transfer reports are usually about the summer. But I agree with you. I don't think we should.
Well, would you be surprised if we bid 100 million for him tomorrow? Like, I mean, I would not be, sadly. So.
Yeah, no, neither would I. Unfortunately, Damesh needs to leave and pick up his mum from hospital. So, Dams, thank you for giving us your time. We appreciate it. Have a good day, and we'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, big up, boys. And just quickly, a score prediction before I leave. I think.
Go on.
I think we'll win 2-0 tomorrow. That's just me being optimistic, but
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. 2-0.
yeah, we'll see. All right, big up, boys. Big
Exactly.
up
Hey,
the
have
chat
a
as
good
well.
one, bro.
Bye, man.
See ya.
Like a few people have said in the chat, by the way, they should have just bought Brighton. Like with the amount of money we've given Brighton, we might as well have bought them. Like,
Yeah, I mean, they should have merged the two clubs, and we could have used their place as a training ground. I mean,
literally, like, how much money have we given them with Potter, Caicedo, bloody Cucurella, like, yeah,
and Sanchez as well.
Million. Yeah,
I think about 300 million plus or something like that.
At least close to it, yeah. Like, and Chelsea, like, obviously they paid 4.25 million, but what was it, 1.25 or whatever was for future spending. So the reality of the value was 3 billion. So how much would Brighton cost? What, probably $1 billion or something? Yeah, they could easily. It's much cheaper than buying all that.
I am pretty sure that Todd Bowley is the person in history invested most money in Brighton. I mean, pretty sure more than their current owners, for
Probably
sure.
more than their sponsors.
Oh no, more than anyone else in history. I am 100% sure that their current owners have not made a net spend of about 400 million into Brighton. I mean, no way.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, enough about Evan Ferguson. I don't think this will happen. I feel like
I hope it doesn't happen.
But we'll see. Yeah, there you go. All right, let's get into talking about tomorrow. And for that, we need to quickly touch on injury news. And this statement, very worrying. Poch on Nkunku, we are still worrying about the situation of Nkunku. Now, I think we are 10 days that he cannot train. We are assessing. He also said they didn't expect him to be out for this long. We've been cursed. I don't know who cursed us. It wasn't Yaya Toure, I don't think. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any Russian curses that I don't know about or whatever that Roma might. I don't know. Roma wouldn't do that to us, would he? But I don't know. Something mental is going on here because, my God, can no one stay fit? It's so.
I mean, at what point should they just investigate the doctors? I mean, what is going on? This is not normal.
Maybe the chef's the fault. I don't know. It's just baffling.
I am completely serious about it. They should do some kind of internal investigation about the practices that have been done to these players. I mean, and I know a lot of teams have troubles, but we have been having this amount of injuries, I would say, from about early 2021, let's say. And most other teams have only been picking up injuries in the last, let's say, 6 to 10 months because the crazy schedule and the World Cup in the winter and these things. But we were there first. I mean, we were.
And the problem is we're not out of it still. We're just still there.
Yeah, and it's getting worse kind of because these injuries are recurring. And we see it with James, with Chilwell. Who else has been constantly injured? Who am I not thinking of?
Chukwuemeka has been out for a while now.
Oh yeah, he's been out for like the whole season. He played 2 games and he's been out. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. Also, Badiashile was injured. Oh yes, Fofana. He's been injured for 16, 17 months now. What is going on there? How is this possible? I mean, come on.
Literally. I mean, obviously, he did come back for a little bit and then just did his ACL in training, unfortunately. But yeah, it's really bad. Yeah, maybe it was a gypsy curse. Who knows? Maybe that's why we should sign Evan Ferguson, to break the gypsy curse. You know, maybe that's the reason. Yeah. But on slightly more positive news, I guess, in terms of injuries, I could bring up the whole thing, but let's first focus on the positives. I touched on it at the beginning already, but Ben Chilwell and Benoit Badiashile will be back in the squad tomorrow. Badiashile obviously wasn't out for long, so this isn't the biggest deal. Lavia, we forgot about Lavia. He's not even played for us.
No, he played 45 minutes, I think.
Oh, yeah, true. Not even, but yeah, he played one half.
He played just enough to get injured again.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking hell. But yeah, Chilwell coming back. Do you think that's a big boost to us, or are you one of those people that think Chile isn't that good?
No, I mean, I still think Marcos Alonso was better, but that's another topic. The thing is, what I worry is that the way we play, I mean, it's no coincidence that Colwill is left back, because if you observe in possession, we play with a line of 3 defenders, and then Gusto goes a little bit up top, and then Mudryk drops a little bit down, like say 20 yards. And then in possession, it looks like a 3-5 something. So I think if we get Chilwell back, there is a serious possibility he will play left wing again. just because of that. Because in possession, Poch wants his left winger to be like a left wing back, which is something that I don't understand currently, and I think this causes a lot of problems. But this is how we play, and this is also one of the reasons why Gusto looks sometimes so good, because he's fast, and we progress the ball only through the wings, only through the flanks.
Yep.
So yeah, he is fast, he's agile, and he does some good things. And yeah, I don't know if Chilwell will be playing left back, sadly. But otherwise, I'm happy he's fit. I hope he stays fit. I always hope that for our players, and especially for him, because his injuries also did him dirty. Because he still has potential, and he could be England's #1 left back on the Euros if he stays fit. So
I agree. It's a tricky one because the whole what you spoke about Colwell has been true for many games, but then there's also been some games where even in possession, Colwell is out wide like a left back. Like it's like Poch is even with that, he's not consistent.
yeah,
Like,
that is true. That is
it's
true.
so strange, and it doesn't really. I don't really see a pattern of if it's certain opponents he does one thing or another thing, or if it's certain.
It looks random. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
It looks
it's just
random.
very strange. You're right, maybe that he may end up playing Chilwell at left wing again, but I hope that he falls on his head and realizes, oh, I should maybe play an actual left back at left back. That'd be a good idea. Maybe us being so bad will force him to do something different. Maybe that's my only hope. But yeah, still the vice captain coming back in terms of a bit of leadership. It also seems like he's, if anything, probably the biggest leader we have at the club. Like all these new signings say, Chile is always the one trying to help them integrate more so than Reece. And this is not Reece just isn't that extroverted. Reece is an introvert. We all know that. So maybe he struggles a bit more with that. And Chile does take the main responsibility on these types of things. So hey, I'm excited that they're back. I guess we can quickly bring up the main injury list too, because a few things have obviously changed here, including Nkunku now not being assessed anymore, but now under the rehabilitation program. Great. Robert Sanchez, according to an expert, he is recovering well and is now on the grass running, but that still doesn't tell us when he's going to be back. Ugochukwu, I mean, it was said 6 weeks. That's now, 2 or 3 weeks ago, so still a while. Lavia, we have no idea when he's back. Reece James, obviously. Fofana, obviously. Cucurella, he had surgery, in November? We have not heard anything about him since, so who knows? Chalobah is now part of team training, so that's good, I guess. And also, Carly Chukwuemeka will not be involved tomorrow, but should be back in the squad very, very soon, so that's also positive news.
Yeah.
He was good I know you only played 1.5 games, but for those 1.5 games, in particular,
he was good, yeah.
He was very good. Especially while we can't seem to keep Nkunku fit, having Chukwuemeka, I think, actually makes kind of a big difference, as much as that is unfair on Carney to have that much responsibility. But unfortunately, that's our reality. But Dimitar, let's get into the team, not that we would like to see, but that we think Poch will pick. Obviously, if you say, okay, I think he'll play Colwell left back, but I would play whatever, please do. But what we'll put on screen is Poch to pick.
The thing is, I really don't think we can accurately predict it, but we can try for sure.
We can only try our best, of course. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But yeah, obviously Petrovic in goal. After that, what about the two centre backs? Who do you expect to play tomorrow?
Logically,
centre back, we don't have anyone available anyway. So
logically, it should be Disasi and Thiago Silva.
It should be, shouldn't it? So who is this one?
But I just want to say, I will not be surprised if he makes something like Disasi right back, then Malo Gusto left back, and Colwell and Silva in the middle, because we also saw that, I think, for a game, so that is also not impossible. But I fully expect the 4 defenders to be Silva, Disasi, Malo Gusto, and Levi Colwell. In what order, that's anyone's guess.
I agree. Does Malo Gusto not have a picture? Oh, there it is. All right. I agree with you. It could be switched round in position.
Yeah.
You're right. But, I mean, it could be Alfie Gilchrist at right back and Gusto at left back.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but it could be. But yeah, no, I agree. It's a quick and simple one. I agree. So let's not waste too much time. Centre mids or CDMs as it is here. I mean, do you even think it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, or do you actually think it's a 4-3-3? Because there's a lot of debate about what we are currently playing.
I can tell you with 100% it's not a 4-3-3, because I think it's some kind of hybrid between what you are showing on screen and a 3-5-2, maybe something like that. I don't know. Because in possession, we always shift almost everyone. Out of possession, it depends if the enemy is counter-attacking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's very hard. Me personally, I know it's not the topic. I would love for a manager to just copy what Ancelotti is doing, play a 4-4-2, and have the right or left winger join the attacking possession and retract when we're not attacking. Because if you know how Ancelotti uses Valverde, I think this is brilliant for modern football. It helps you press and it helps you defend. That's another story.
The problem is not everyone has someone like Valverde.
Well, technically
would be perfect at it.
Technically, can't we use like Palmer to do that? Just like play in midfield, try and control the tempo, and then just push up. Can't we use Nkunku like that theoretically? Maybe. Can't we use Enzo like that theoretically?
Nah,
maybe not as a right winger.
Why Valverde is so good at it? It's because he's so fast, right? To get up and down.
Yeah, but Enzo, I think, also has an engine on him. And if fit, he should be able to run with the ball. I mean, this is all theory, but I think if we try something like that, it would not be worse off than it is right now, because right now we have no formation.
Exactly. He might as well try something. But
yeah,
he won't. But yeah, centre midfielders, Caicedo and Enzo, or do you think Gallagher could be in the pivot and someone else in the 10?
To be honest, I think logically it should be Caicedo and Enzo.
Yeah, because
he could try something else. He could try. Yeah. He could try maybe benching Enzo again. Yeah. I see that as a possibility. I think Gallagher for sure, but no, wait. I think Caicedo will play for sure, and the thing is, will Enzo or Gallagher be next to him in the CDM? That's my opinion.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I think it's probably going to be... Oh, I can't type. I can. Why is it not showing up then? Hello. Thank you. What we shouldn't forget is we have 10 days until our next game after tomorrow. So with that in mind, rest shouldn't really be a thing. So therefore, I kind of expect us to play, in quotation marks, our strongest 11 in at least Poch's opinion. So that's why I think it will probably just be... the wrong way around.
I completely agree. Just I don't know what Poch thinks is his best starting 11. That's my issue in the situation. But yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
There you go. So shall we go with these three?
Yeah.
There you go. Fair enough then. What about the wingers? Last game we got Noni, Madueke, and hold up. No, we didn't. Did Noni start?
No, Madueke started and Sterling was on the left. Yeah. With Palmer as the false 9. That was the...
Oh, yeah, that's why Palmer was the false 9. Do you think... I'm very sure Broja starts up front tomorrow.
Against Fulham, he should, yeah. I think he should, and he probably will.
Yeah, I agree. What about left wing, right wing? Who do you think starts in each of those?
I would say that Palmer is a guaranteed starting player, but I don't know who the other one will be. If I have to make a guess, I would say he plays Sterling because he seems to trust him.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure if I agreed to play him, but he looks like he trusts him.
Yeah, it would be putting Mudryk on the bench for 2 games in a row when he's arguably, other than Palmer, our best attacker, which is just... I know Sterling gets goals, I know, man, but you see Sterling play and he just doesn't function with anyone.
I think he tries to be sensible, and the thing is, Mudryk is supposed to be a good bench player, but I actually think he's better when he starts games. But the same goes for Sterling. I am pretty sure Sterling will have 0 impact if he comes off the bench in the 65th minute. The thing is, Mudryk is at least faster and younger, so people presume he should be explosive from the bench. And I think Poch is also using similar logic.
Yeah, but so far, I mean, I know it worked against Newcastle in the Cup, I guess, when he scored the late equalizer. But otherwise, I've never felt that Mudryk has really worked off the bench. I always feel like...
He hasn't.
Yeah, I always feel like he needs to start to grow into the game.
I mean, yeah, theoretically, he should be good on the bench because he should be explosive, but I find he's better, as you said, when he tries to grow into the game, when he can get to know the defender he's playing up against, because sometimes he shows very good movement and very good trickery of the opponent, but that's only when he sees the opponent for more than, let's say, 20 minutes. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, Poch is very illogical, and the team is also very illogical as a whole. So, I mean, at the end of the day, he might bench Enzo, play Gallagher, and play Sterling and Mudryk, and have Palmer in the 10. That is also a possibility, I guess. But
absolutely. Or maybe he plays Palmer as the false 9 again. Also possible.
that is also true. I mean,
I think less likely because it didn't exactly work last time. Although Palmer could have had a hat trick, he just didn't take any of his chances. So,
yeah, I mean, and also it did not work because when we brought Broja, we were already a goal down, and championship sides love to defend against crosses. So it would be very hard. I mean, if the game was 0-0 and Broja came, I think he could have done better because then it would have been a little bit more open. But Middlesbrough wanted to defend with their lives, so you cannot score with the cross against Middlesbrough. I mean, sorry.
No,
That's just the reality of the matter, yeah.
We both seemingly agree that we are kind of unsure, but think it's most likely going to be Sterling. What I put on screen now,
if I have to bet money, I would say Sterling. But I would not bet a lot because...
Exactly. I will now put Mudryk here in an attempt to manifest it.
Okay.
In an attempt to force Poch to play Mudryk. Because, I want Mudryk to play. I think obviously Palmer is out of it because Palmer has clearly shown that he's clearly good and great and good enough and whatever. But I think Mudryk is, outside of Palmer, the one that has showed the most glimpses where I'm like, you could be a superstar. I'm not sure whether he ever will be, especially because Chelsea are really bad at developing players, like you touched on earlier. But I think he is the most likely. And so far, the more he starts, the better he gets. So I just don't understand why he doesn't keep starting. So, and Sterling isn't going to get better anymore. That's for sure. So,
I mean, the thing is, I believe also Sterling could get better with better players around him. I fully believe
he has been now, but not better than he's been at City.
Well, you said that, but I don't know, because Sterling is the kind of player for me. He is the type of player that is very well suited for coaches who like to overcoach. So he will follow your instructions to the maximum he can. So if we get a system which is flowing football, let's say, not like Man City, but let's say resembling a Man City type of game where you can control the game and control chances, I think he can easily score 10 to 15 goals a season.
Oh, I agree with that.
And I think that would be almost as good as the level he was at City. I mean, let's say almost as good. Okay, not better. Yeah.
It's weird because Sterling's level at City has been a whole strange thing anyway. Often he scored more goals than his level would often suggest. But, that's how it worked for him at City. But I would also say, in terms of what you touched on, in terms of a player executing instruction, I think Mudryk is a player like that too. I
agree. Yeah.
I can't remember if you were on the stream when we discussed this or not, but we discussed it recently where I was like, Mudryk's main issue is still lacking a footballing IQ.
Yeah. I think we discussed it with me. Yeah,
exactly. But if you tell Mudryk what to do, he will follow that instruction.
Yeah.
And if you give him the right instructions, it will work. That's my opinion.
But the thing is also with wingers, it's sometimes their interpretation of the instructions and also knowing when to make the runs. I mean, Mudryk is obviously not used to the league still. Maybe I think he has another 6 months, in my opinion, to learn, because if he doesn't learn, let's say, by the end of this season, and if he has, let's say, 2 goals in 20 starts by the middle of next season, then it would be kind of over for him, maybe. Yeah. But if he manages to improve in the next 6 months and improve those runs a little bit, if he can learn from Sterling, let's say, he could become a very, very dangerous player to have.
I agree. I mean, how many goals does he have this season? Like 4?
I think 3. 3 in the league for sure, and that one against Newcastle, so 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's there you go. All right, so this is the team, except Sterling and Mudryk, that we think Poch will pick tomorrow. Let's see whether it's true or not. And now, Dimitar will finish it off with a score prediction. Darms already gave us his. He said 2-0. What are you thinking? And if you want to split like your mind and your heart in 2 different predictions, you can. But just a stat, by the way, Chelsea haven't lost at home to Fulham in 45 years.
Oh, man, why did you have to say that?
And Pochettino has never lost to Fulham as a manager. So a lot of firsts tomorrow, maybe.
Oh, man, I am sure the commentator tomorrow from my stream in Bulgarian, which I say will mention that in the first 5 minutes and will concede in the next 5 minutes. Yeah. Because the commentators in Bulgaria have this weird talent of jinxing a lot of clubs, but that's another story.
Do
Well,
Bulgarians like Chelsea or not? Like so on
I
average?
guess with younger people, they are popular. I mean, I'm a Chelsea fan because of my father. So again, they are also a little bit of an older audience out there. There are a lot of people who liked Zola, they liked Vialli, these type of players in the late 90s.
Yeah.
But I would guess maybe Chelsea are the third or fourth most popular behind Liverpool and Man United for sure. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if Arsenal have more fans than Chelsea, but no other team is more popular for sure.
Yeah, there you go. We're not going to get into political talks,
Yeah.
but I didn't know like if Bulgaria is like, I don't know, because of Abramovich, maybe they like us. I don't know.
I mean, that could probably be a factor, but also Chelsea were playing amazing football for, let's say, 10 years between 2005 and 2015. So it's normal to attract a lot of young audiences. Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of the chat are saying 1-1. Well, I say a lot of the chat. One person is saying the same thing. 1-1 and Caicedo red card. Hey, it could be spot on. maybe put a fiver on that EPL turf. Maybe put a fiver on that. just
I would actually say maybe either a 1-1 or we scrape a 2-1. I don't know if we can keep a clean sheet, also referring to what you shared earlier with this XG thing. Yeah. If we keep a clean sheet, I think we will score a goal, but let's say 2-1. 2-1, optimistic from me.
I'm in exactly the same boat as you. It's either 2-1 or 1-1 in my mind. You took the 2-1 now, so I'm gonna just go with the more negative approach and say 1-1. Hey, at least one.
I mean, I think if we score first, we can win. But if they score first, it's over. The maximum is 1-1.
I agree completely. Oh my days, it's so depressing. Also, our record with early kickoffs really poor. Although didn't we have?
Is it an early kickoff?
Yeah, we're 1:30.
Oh man! Oh wow!
It's not ideal.
Sorry, I just knocked my phone.
That happens, mate. No worries. Yeah, I think it's about time around this one out. But I think the last early kickoff was the Christmas Eve one, but it wasn't normal early kickoff. It was like what 1 p.m. UK, not 12:30.
I think it was 1:30 p.m. UK.
Yeah. No, exactly. Maybe that was it. But I can't remember the last time we played an early kickoff because I read the last time we usually shit at them. The stat was that if we don't win that game, we will not have won an early kickoff in 2 years. I'm not sure if was Luton away maybe the early kickoff. Yeah, it was. Luton away was the early kickoff, and we won that. Okay. So we won a recent early kickoff. So that's something.
Let's hope it's better than the Luton performance. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, if we take the first 70 minutes of Luton, I'll be okay with that. But
fair enough.
Out the last 20, please. But yeah, Dams went for 2-0. Dimitar went for 2-1. The only thing that was left for me was a 1-1 because I don't want to say 1-0 because that's a bit dead. So let's hope I'm wrong and the boys are right. Whichever one result it is, all I want is a win. Please, for the love of God. At the same time, the more we lose, the sooner Poch will get sacked. So, it's one of those now. We need to win, especially with 10 days without a fixture now. If we
it's going to be awful. If we lose, I feel all of the 10 days will be filled with Chelsea need to sign a striker. Chelsea need to do this. And I just pray to God that we don't panic and buy another £100 million player from anywhere. I don't know.
Either a £100 million player or another £50 million for a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I mean.
One of those two.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to wrap this one up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't already. That would be massively appreciated. Hit that like button. That would be fantastic. Check out Dom's down in the description below. Also, check out my social media. Dimitar said he doesn't really care so much. So, do that if you want to. Don't if you don't. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.